Coming up on Tech News today, Europe is assaulting net neutrality. Who's next? Also, you Android users apparently are hogging all the bandwidth. Give it back. That's why Europe's all upset about net neutrality. And you can get a first-run film while it's in theater in your house. You just need to have $20,500.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Wednesday, December 8th, 2010. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Ford and voice-activated Sync, featuring true hands-free calling, turn-by-turn directions, 911 assist, and more. Available exclusively on Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles. And by Slingbox. Watch your favorite TV shows when you're away from home with Slingbox. Check them out at a Best Buy near you or visit slingbox.com/twit. Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I am Becky Worley.
And I'm Jason Howell.
And this is a show I actually know how to do.
Yeah.
Instead of the ones I've been filling in for Leo on.
That's all right. You're home now, Tom.
Oh, thank God. Also joining us today, Cali Lewis from Geekbeat TV.
Hey,
you
good
came
to be
all
back.
the way up to the cottage. Thank you so much.
I did, all the way from Dallas.
That's fantastic. Just to come here.
Just for you.
No other reason.
No.
All right, we got a good story to lead us off today. This is going to be a little time machine for folks who remember AT&T's CEO saying Google shouldn't get a free lunch. They need to pay for being on the internet.
For their sandwich.
For sending us all those sandwiches. I mean, traffic. And that started off the net neutrality debate here in the United States. Well, today, Chief Executive Officer of France Telecom, Stefan Richard, said... Well, actually, he said it last month, but it's making news today. Service providers are flooding networks with no incentive. It's necessary to put in place a system of payments by service providers as a function of their use. He addressed the issue at the Le Web conference in Paris today. Telecom Italia CEO Franco Bernabe and Telefonica SA CEO Cesar Alierta were turning up the rhetoric, saying that Google, Yahoo, use Telefonica's network for free, which is good news for them and a tragedy for us that cannot continue.
Now, wait. Isn't somebody paying? Isn't that the end user who's actually paying the subscription fees per month?
They're paying to access the internet, but the way they put it, Google and Yahoo aren't paying Telefonica to access the network and send the things.
Oh, right. The return of the double dip.
Yeah.
Yes. They just want to get paid from everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, and this is, okay, I've had years to consider this analogy and shoot pot shots at it. I also think, and I think the CEOs of Telefonica and Telecom Italia would agree with me, that General Electric and Westinghouse need to pay the electric companies.
Well, absolutely.
Because all of these toasters and refrigerators are accessing electrical outlets for free.
It's only reasonable.
Yeah.
I see your analogy, Tom. But to play devil's advocate, or as I like to say, devil's avocado, a lot of these companies are freaking out, trying to figure out how they're going to leverage the infrastructure that they already have with the increase in mobile data consumption that's coming online. In Western Europe, they expect 15% growth. They expect 270 million people to be accessing data by the end of 2014. And they're trying to figure out, okay, how do we build out our infrastructure? Who's going to pay?
And they know that if they ask consumers to pay more, there's going to be an uproar.
Yeah.
So they're just looking for other options.
So they're trying to find somebody else to charge.
Right. Which probably isn't going to go over so well.
But haven't they learned? How'd that go for an old US of A?
You know what usually happens when you have a commodity that people want and it gets more expensive to run? You raise the price.
Right.
Right.
For the people paying for it.
Right.
If you need to. I'm not even 100% sure that I believe them that they need to.
Don't we pay outrageous fees anyway?
Yeah,
for data.
And the networks, there's always this exaflood scare. They bring this up, say, oh, there's going to be all this traffic on the internet. It's going to overwhelm the internet. Most of the reasonable studies have said that is not a problem on the backbone. That's not going to happen. So it's always to the curb when we're talking landline. Wireless is got the same thing. Which is to say, like, they need to figure out how to update their networks capacity to deliver from the internet to the, but that's their problem. It's not an internet problem. It's not Google's problem. It's not a problem that there are people creating content out there that people want.
Right.
Tech companies should understand that when they get in the business, things are going to change. They're going to need to put money into increasing capacities, infrastructure, all of that. That's just the way tech goes.
Yeah, it's called investing in your capital. Now, they may be scared, though, Tom, about the increase of those data-hungry pigs we know of as Android users.
Oh, those Android users.
There's been a study that's come out saying that Android users are bigger data hogs than any other smartphone user.
Even iPhone users.
Yep.
That's nuts.
And this report is coming out basically a network management firm, RESO, did a series of studies and saw that over traditional phones, the iPhone users use about 140% more data, 44% more data calls, 41% more data being downloaded with the iPhone 4. And then they looked at the Android phones and... They definitely consuming much more than the iPhone 4. Is that a surprise to you guys?
I'm curious to find out why this is, whether it's behavioral or whether it's something in the way that Android is set up to ping and check certain
I wondered
things.
the same thing.
Because iOS has had a few years to work with AT&T directly on this and try to figure out how they have done things, right? Where they've decided, we're going to change the way the phone works to try to conserve data.
I don't often. It just. In real life, looking at people use their phones, I see more iPhone users using data constantly rather than Android users. Android users use it, but so it kind of doesn't mesh with what my gut feeling would be. But
it seems like it could be a combination of both these things. It could be tweaking the settings to sort of find the sweet spot. In terms of pulling and pushing data. But one of the things in the study is that the HTC Desire and the Samsung Galaxy were highlighted as being particularly data hungry, and that the Android headsets made more data calls and spent more time connected to the network. So you're wondering, if it spent more time connected to the network, you think that's individual usage. Made more data calls, that might just be tweaking the settings or getting that a little bit sweeter.
Yeah.
So.
Verizon is going to put in caps on its LTE network to try to take advantage of this, which would bring to light whether this is a problem with the way the operating system calls, because Android's not going to want to appear to be the more expensive option if there's a data cap.
Right.
Because we think Verizon's going to get the iPhone at least sometime next year.
Yeah, there've been
sometime in the next 10 years.
Is that the question that you get that you get the most from people? Is when's Verizon getting the iPhone?
Pretty much at the moment, yeah.
Nonstop. Well, we'll see.
Hey, you know what this caps is a good idea for? Charging people based on how much they use the data, rather than trying to charge Google and Yahoo for delivering data.
There you go, Tom. You need to get yourself over to the web.
Just a little callback.
Let them know.
Believe me, I wish I was at
But then who would be anchoring the network?
Becky Worley.
You're in.
I'm out.
All right, it's time for our WikiLeaks update.
We need theme music for this. It's
Well,
WikiLeaks
we did the. Somebody wrote in complaining because they thought this was making a joke out of WikiLeaks when we did this.
I was suggesting you just make it a whole show.
Yeah.
This week in WikiLeaks.
We've actually had a lot of editorial discussions to say what we're trying to do is update the technical details on what's happening around the web as this story progresses without the political bias or intrigue, or perhaps we'll kill the music. What the hell? We've made an editorial decision. So, Tom, give us the update.
All right, WikiLeaks is armoring itself to survive cyber attacks with all of the denial of service attacks against WikiLeaks. There's a great story on CNET from Declan McCullough, which lays out all of the different DNS providers they're using, all of the redundancy of the servers that they're using, and how they have really pulled it together as an interesting technical problem of how to make sure that they are reliable in the face of a lot of people aiming for them to try to bring them down.
Yeah, there are 14 different redundancy backup servers, .coms, .chs, .nets, .orgs, really all over the map as they try and create a sustainable system.
They really want to stay up.
Mm-hmm. And then another development here is the anonymous attacks on the financial companies that have blocked payments to WikiLeaks.
This is the group anonymous.
Yes.
Not just in the generic term.
Yes, it was a capital A.
Yes, anonymous with a capital A.
Anonymous capital A. They started with a takedown on MasterCard. It was about midday for us here on the West Coast. And then they moved over and they went over and took Visa down. And, just checking. Definitely, it was down. I did, all of the different checks. It's just me. And it wasn't. It was everybody seeing they were both down.
And MasterCard earlier today was saying this is not affecting our payment system, but some merchants were reporting they were having problems with the payment system. No word on whether that's unrelated for some reason.
They should have just put a plastic bag around the card and then swiped it, because that works every time, even when there's a DDoS, I've heard.
So they've gone after the Swiss bank, they've gone after PayPal, they've gone after MasterCard. PayPal VP Osama Bedier, speaking at Le Web, said that the U.S. State Department contacted them and told them it was illegal to host WikiLeaks.
Well, to host or to
I'm sorry, to be the payment provider for WikiLeaks. Thank you.
Well, they're in a predicament. I mean, I don't blame them for shutting it all down and making sure that they're not part of it. They can't. Just imagine if PayPal had some leaked information, then they'd be essentially helping WikiLeaks go ahead and put out their information, their private, confidential information. I mean, it's a bad situation for any company to be in.
It would be one thing if PayPal decided we don't like what WikiLeaks is doing and we're not going to support them anymore. But what they're saying is they saw a letter from the State Department to WikiLeaks. They didn't get contacted directly. That's right. And they said, well, that letter says it's illegal, and so we're going to pull it down. Now, maybe they're just saying that because they don't want to support WikiLeaks, like you're saying.
Right.
And they're using this as an excuse. But it's not any government agency can say something is illegal. If it hasn't been proven illegal, then it's a little tricky to say that's why we're pulling this down.
Here's the thing: is every big company has a legal department and a standards and practices department, and those guys, their job, they stay up at night making sure that the company doesn't take a misstep that puts the entire business in jeopardy. So basically, what Bedier was saying at Le Web, which, by the way, he got booed when he said this, and Scoble was tweeting that. He said it a little bit more, that people were grumbling about it when Bedier defended PayPal. But what he said specifically was, quote, "We have an acceptable use policy, and the job is to make sure that our customers are protected, making sure that we comply with regulations around the world and making sure that we protect our brand." Basically, it's a brutal decision to have to decide, are we going to put our brand in jeopardy, all of our business in jeopardy for this one issue?
And finally, U.S. State Department spokesperson P.J. Crowley called for WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange to return the leaked U.S. embassy cables. Now, they did this before, too. I think it's a gambit to help create the idea that this is stolen property in people's minds, because I think we all know you can't return digital files that have been infinitely copied and mirrored in 124,000 places.
The horse is out of the barn. But I think you make a really excellent point. And in the interview he did with the BBC, he basically said, he made the exact point you're making. This is a theft. This is stolen, and it needs to be conceptualized that way.
But you can't return them. No, I mean, they could print them out and send them back, but I don't think that does anything.
You just send them as a PDF. How are we going to do that? Whatever.
Because they still exist in your sent box.
That's true. You've got to delete those.
Just make sure you delete that
and go to the server and delete those as well.
Yeah. Because you can make things disappear on the internet. You've all been lied to. Netflix they have been under attack. There was the Books from Time Warner. Who went after him and said, like, oh, the $100,000 I heard they might be spending on TV shows, that's a
measly.
It's measly. That's
offer.
what he used. The word measly. Their CFO just resigned, Barry McCarthy, and so there was an article on CNET from Greg Sandoval saying, no, this is a bad time for that. The wagons are circling, and yet, and maybe this was in the works a long time before that, they signed a deal with ABC Disney. Full disclosure, Becky Worley is an employee of ABC. To actually get older episodes up no newer than 15 days after they air onto Netflix.
So backing into the story a little bit, Netflix had put out an offer that they would give $100,000 for any first-run episodes to go simultaneously on Netflix and their streaming service. ABC Disney has gotten involved. Full disclosure, I work for them. Has gotten involved.
Do we have to say that every time?
Every single time.
Okay.
Just my parent company. They basically have said, okay, we're going to give you older episodes and some episodes that are 15 days old at a minimum. And they're talking about things like Brothers and Sisters, Disney Channel stuff. What is it? Camp
Greek,
Rock.
High School Musical.
High School Musical.
Ugly Betty.
Yeah.
Reaper.
And full prior seasons, certainly, of the big hits, the Desperate Housewives, the Grey's Anatomy kind of stuff.
Lost. Is now returned to Netflix.
Yeah.
You know, I think this points out a strategy here, which is that Netflix isn't after being Hulu. They don't want to be the next day people. They don't even want to be the next day release on movies. They're willing to agree to 28 days. They want to be that huge back catalog.
Right.
And they'll deal with getting the newer stuff later down the road when this industry has worked itself out.
Yeah.
They've obviously done a fantastic job at getting to the point where they've gotten, which is taking over the world and every device out there. So I think that it's possible for them to pull off what they're looking to do. But I don't know if the CFO is leaving, how much does that impact it?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? This could be just a guy who's, been with the company long enough and he's got some other ideas of stuff he wants to do and he's leaving and it's just happenstance. Or you could try to make it into some sort of conspiracy theory that he sees the writing on the wall and knows that they've reached the end of their rope.
I always look at this corporate stuff, and I think we imbue like all these guys making big decisions at corporations as having some greater wisdom. But having worked at some of these larger corporations, I can say they're all a bunch of knuckleheads for the most part, just like us. So my theory is, I look at all these...
Do you hear that, Barry? She's calling you a knucklehead.
But the CEO of Netflix, Reed Hastings, he put out this thing that says,
Bob
Barry
Iger
concluded that right now is the time to seek out new opportunities, and we'll be cheering for him.
No,
and
they
so
always say that
here's
stuff.
me reading between the lines. Oh, these guys got in a bad fight.
Yeah. No, whatever they say they're leaving, it doesn't mean anything.
I know. And everyone, like the streets going, oh, the CFO's leaving. He sees something in the future. The books are wrong. I'm like, no, those guys had a fight definitely on the golf course. They're
And he
pissed
is
at each
out.
other.
Yeah, he tried to put a eagle down or bogey down as a something.
Market 8, dude.
He totally, that shot was out of bounds. You definitely could play that.
All right, let's take a break and thank our sponsors, Ford, makers of voice-activated sync. If you've been out driving, you did a big drive this morning from Santa Rosa to Petaluma. Were you tempted to use your cell phone
Oh, you're not supposed to?
while you were driving? You were using
She
your cell
was
phone
probably
while
not the
you were driving.
driver.
Were you
I
not
wasn't the
driving?
driver.
Okay, well,
no,
that's
I
fine.
wasn't the driver. Don't worry.
If you are driving, though, and you want to make calls or skip through your tunes, send text messages, you should not do it unless you have something like Ford Voice Activated Sync, which is true hands-free calling. You keep your eyes on the road, your hands on the wheel,
Much
and you
safer.
just say, skip that song. Send a text message to Becky. You speak it, it happens.
I want that built into my next car. I got to tell you, I need that.
You better test drive a Ford.
And
then.
I got to tell you, I tried to put an aftermarket thingamabobber in, which has the, goes into your stereo system. That costs a ton of money. It's like $300 for the device, and then you got to get the installation, $500. I was like, oh, thanks, no.
And nothing works like Sync. There was an interesting article today about the Microsoft voice recognition, which powers Sync, is in Microsoft Connect. It's being put into the Microsoft. It's in Microsoft Windows 7, and it keeps getting better and better. So this is kind of the state of the art as far as voice recognition. Make
Yeah,
calls.
it used to be something you didn't really want to play with, but now.
Yeah, now it actually works. And if you're ever in an accident, on a serious note, your airbag deploys, Sync automatically calls 911. Right now, also, we've been talking about the contest, the 2012 Ford Focus Global Test Drive, your chance to get a sneak peek at the all-new Ford Focus. You will get flown to Madrid to Spain's National Institute for Aerospace Technology to do the test drive. All you got to do is figure out what charity you would like to have $10,000 donated to, make a video up to 2 minutes long, keep it short, tell Ford in that video why they should support your cause, why you should win, and then upload it at twitfordfocus.com. Do that by December 31st, and you have a chance to win. And even if you don't win, you can go to your Ford dealer and win by taking a test drive right now. Go to twitfordfocus.com for more details. All right, real quickly, TechCrunch reporting a leak of Google Me. Is this it? Is Google Plus One the thing? Was it accidentally revealed?
It's going to change the world.
It's a toolbar, people.
And that may be what it ends up being. If TechCrunch is right, that's what Google Plus One, as it is called, would be. It would essentially be a share button on steroids.
Right. and it looks pretty straightforward. There's just one screenshot that with a big red confidential on top of it, but it
Somebody broke that.
Yeah, right.
and it just looks like there's an opportunity. You know, it has your login area, it has a share, it has a count. It looks like some sort of numeric count box for how many shares there have been. And then the interesting thing is down the side, this idea of loops, which is Google's version of groups. So this might be a way to tie
Well, there's
in.
Google Groups, so would this
Right.
be an extension to that?
I don't know.
Or a way to share things in that group just quickly and easily.
Yeah.
Or do we just, does this offer us the ability to, you know, tweet something easier, or does it, is it stumble upon?
Or buzz something easier?
Oh, Buzz.
Let's hope not.
You know, interesting thing about loop is it sounds like group, so it could be a play on group, but it's also, you bring up a good point, Cali, which is, is this a tie together service?
Right.
Because I feel like there's a major social splintering that I think hyper-connected people struggle to post once and have it replicated at the right places and at the right time. So perhaps this is a way to kind of tie all that together, loop it together, if you will, and integrate your social networking and your sharing of information. Not
You
sure.
know what would
just
be great
speculation.
is if there was some service. So I tweet, but then I also want to post the same thing on Facebook, but people don't want to read the same thing on both accounts. So it would be great to have a service that you could say one thing and it would just translate it and come up with something else entirely, but the same kind
like
of content.
a rephrasing service.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I like
never going
that.
to happen.
Little AI, and we could make it happen.
That's
you know?
true.
Little semantic web.
Sure. Keep your dreaming. You.
Google
Okay.
says we're always experimenting with new ways to improve our products, and we have already confirmed that we are focused on incorporating social elements across Google, but we have nothing new to announce at this time, TechCrunch.
Arg.
Move along.
Back off.
Nothing to see here. MG Siegler, whoever you are.
All right. Meanwhile,
MC.
while Netflix, he's in France too.
Oh.
While Netflix is fighting to get 15-day-old TV shows and 28-day-old movies, you can get currently running in theaters hit movies in your house.
Oh, that's awesome. I totally
Legally.
want to do that.
Legally.
I totally want to do it.
Yeah.
How? Tell me.
You just pay a one-time fee of $20,000 for the Prima digital delivery system.
Totally there.
And then a very reasonable $500 per film.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
This is the MTV Cribs version of a Netflix box, of a Roku box.
Right. This is the tricked out house that has everything.
Yeah.
But you know what? As crazy as this is, you know, and as many people are going to say, like, oh, you know, how is this ever going to work? How would I possibly afford it? This may be the best way to get this to happen widespread. Because what happens is once you actually try something like this and people start to experience the actual risks and the actual behavior that results from it, then it becomes less scary.
Right. So you
True.
mean on the part of the
Of the
Of
networks.
the industry, yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, I could see high end. You know, I've done those. We've all done these stories. If you've been in the tech business, you've done the MTV Cribs version of, oh my God, look at this home theater that
Right.
people build into their McMansion. And I could see people, if they're going to plunk down $100,000 for the kind of equipment and furniture and all the kind of stuff that they put in their home theater, I could easily see them doing this and making it a social event to have a party, $500. What's that to a Richie Rich? But I think your point is really well taken, is that it's going to take a high-end early adopter to basically create a case study that shows, okay, well, you know, they're not going to pirate it. It's probably going to have DRM built into it somehow, and it'll work. Agreed?
I think so. I think
a
we
good point.
don't eat the rich. We use them as guinea pigs.
That's right.
And the other part that appeals to me is this is essentially taking the industry saying, well, our property is much too valuable to make it available and undercut our business model, and saying, well, there's a price to everything. Put a price on it and try it.
Right.
And then you can start to actually figure out what that value is.
How many years do you think that would take until
That's a good
the,
question. I don't
industry
know.
is really putty? It's actually probably going to be a combination. If that were to happen, plus new generations coming in with a different mindset and all of that.
Yeah, I kind of think the old guard has to die out, or at least
Yeah.
retire before it really happens.
And
But
that's still gonna be a little
this
while.
might accelerate it a little bit.
Yeah.
Make the old guard a little more comfortable.
I do
with it.
have to give Strike It Rich, which is appropriately a great handle from the chat room, credit. He says, I get live streaming already. It's called cable.
Yeah, but it's not in theater movies
True, fair enough,
no,
fair
it's
enough.
right now.
But it could be.
I actually got a chance to hear, I didn't see, the Falcon 9 rocket carrying the Dragon capsule lift off from Cape Canaveral this morning. They broadcast it on KCBS radio. So they cut in, and I heard the countdown and heard it successfully take off. Of course, this is the private company that is one of two companies looking to replace the space shuttle. And we talked earlier this week about how their launch got delayed, but 10:43 Eastern time, it went up. There it is.
And now, you know, I'm a space hater, so tell me why this is important. It's cool. It's cool, Becky.
Look at that rocket. That's not cool. That's not important.
That's just phallic.
Well, that one is, but they're not all. The space shuttle isn't.
Well, I mean, I'm just. Well, it is. Okay, it's fire.
I think it's
something
well.
shooting
Do you
into
like satellites?
Do you like
Do
satellites?
you think there
Come
should
on.
be no satellites, Becky?
No,
we need to service the satellites. We need to do experiments in space. This is a good way to do it.
All right. See, I'm just asking for a little,
All right.
you know, a little context there, space lover.
Twitter announced 5 new content partners on Monday that bring more multimedia and video content into the website. Blip TV, which is a great way to watch independent television on the web, and actually some pro television as well, and pro quality television. Hipster filtered photos from trendy iPhone app Instagram, as they put it on CNET. Instagram is not nearly as hipster as Path. Come on.
Oh. Well.
But Blip TV, Path, RDO, and SlideShare, and Dip Dive. What is Dip? Dip Dive's the only one I'm not familiar with here.
What did they say?
Artist
about
community
this?
site.
I think it's for
It's just
artists.
for artists. Yeah.
So the idea.
and it's community.
We know what we're
And it's on
talking
the
about.
Oh, there you go.
I'm more of an art hater than a space hater,
A
so I
lifestyle
really can't say.
engine for music, arts, action, and more. There you go.
For action, okay.
Right.
So the partnerships essentially mean when you get a link to a Blip TV or an Instagram picture or an RDO song or any of this stuff, it will be embedded in a specialized widget that pops up instead of taking you out of the Twitter experience.
And that's looking nice. They did a round of this before a couple months ago, and it looks good on the Twitter site. It works pretty well.
I like that sidebar panel a lot. I use that almost exclusively, and I love it when something loads and I don't have to click off. I mean, it's so simple, but it just is a basic thing.
Actually, a lot of times I don't prefer to have it right there, because if it's something I'm interested in, I'm probably going to want to save it for whether I want to tweet it later or whether I want to do a blog post about it or whatever the case may be. I actually like to have it in a different tab, but then you can open it in a different tab if you so wish.
Yeah, I
But,
generally keep it open in a
I
tab.
don't care either way.
Yeah.
Of course, then I always have too many tabs open, so maybe this will help me out there.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's thank Slingbox also for helping bring you tech news today. Slingbox lets you watch your home TV anywhere you go on any portable device, iPhone, iPod Touch, BlackBerry, laptop, MacBook, whatever you got. The way it works, you go to Best Buy, you buy a Slingbox, you bring it home, hook it up to your TV, hook it up to your internet, boom. You have all of your television wherever you go, absolutely legal. You get your television, whatever you subscribe to on your satellite or cable service or even over the air, delivered over the internet to your application and only you. So you're not violating any broadcast laws. You're broadcasting it back to yourself. But it means wherever you have the internet, you can watch your favorite shows. You can watch anything on your DVR. You can watch your movie channels. Anything you pay for, you get. So check it out at a Best Buy near you or visit slingbox.com/twit. I'm a big fan of the Slingbox. It lets you. Do you use it, Cali?
I have in the past, yeah.
It's a great way when you're
device.
traveling, right? To actually
Yeah.
be able to get back and keep up on stuff.
Definitely.
Check them out at slingbox.com/twit. Time for the news fuse. My goodness, we're almost out of IPv4 addresses. It's going to happen by 2011. And what's a business going to do if you need to move to IPv6 and you go to your boss and you say, we need to move to IPv6, and the boss of IT says, what's IPv6? Yeah, I guess we should. I saw a headline about that. Heard it on Newsfuse. Here's what you do. You hire Verizon. Verizon has introduced a service to convert networks to IPv6, anticipating that large organizations will soon need help with such projects. Find a need and fill it, they say in business school. Good job, Verizon. Like, oh, we're almost out of IPv4 addresses. Maybe we can make some money off that.
Hey, so it takes a free market. Come on, people. Spotify, streaming music service seems so cool, but big problem. They
Euro
apparently
cool.
don't have a business model, one that'll work here in the U.S. or apparently anywhere else. According to CNET, after a year of negotiating with music labels, the streaming music service has failed to land a single deal. And although they promised U.S. service by the end of this year, no Christmas joy. Spotify lovers only get a lump of coal and a return to Pandora in their stockings.
I'm fine with Pandora.
Yeah.
Well, phones are now mini computers, right?
Yep.
So when do we get dual-core processors in them? According to RIM's Michael Lazaridis, 5 years down the road? 2 years? No?
Yeah.
Soon.
Really? How soon?
RIM's co-CEO said at the D-Mobile conference that they'll be taking the Playbook's QNX platform to smartphones just as soon as they can figure out the power consumption issues.
Yeah, NVIDIA would like that. They got the Tegra ready to go.
Yep.
Want to run Flash on an iPad or QuickTime on a Galaxy Tab? Sounds like crazy talk.
It's
like
crazy
dogs
talk.
sleeping with cats.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No.
It's possible if you're running OnLive's new virtualization app. OnLive is the streaming games service. I've used them. They stream video games to your computer so that your computer doesn't have to have all the power. At the D-Mobile conference today, founder Steve Perlman showed off a host of Windows 7 programs on the ARM tablet. Even talked about doing a movie service over it. Kind of cool, but... well, we still don't know about the business model.
Yeah,
with
we're
OnLive,
big on the business model today.
Maybe they got lots of different business models they can pick from now.
Like, give us your venture money.
Yeah.
That's what seems to work a
That's
lot
the
for
business
people.
model.
Hey, picture the Droid 2 phone with slide-out QWERTY keyboard. All right, you picturing it? Now picture it 3 times bigger. Yes, you've just conjured an image of the rumored Samsung Gloria tablet. Who names these things? News out today that a new device with a 10-inch screen, slide-out QWERTY keyboard, thank you for the Van Morrison reference, and it's not just an overlay keyboard, you know, the ones that are like the kind of pop-up buttons. No, we're talking full clackety-clack keyboard. The question, will it surface at CES, or is this the first of many Yeti tablets?
I like the term Yeti.
Yeti tablet. I
You
coined
just
that
wanna say that
myself.
over and
Thank
over.
you. It's going to peek out. It's going to threaten to appear later, and then it will disappear.
Bum, bum, bum.
I don't know. And we need some sort of an Android tablet pool for CES. Which ones will actually show face?
Right.
Well, now in our news you can use segment, when you decide to make a few dollars by selling your used computer equipment, it is important to erase all that data, get it off of there on that hard drive. So while it would be appropriate for people, us maybe, to remind consumers that you need to do this, you wouldn't really think that NASA would remind people to do it. But an internal investigation at NASA found 10 cases where PCs were actually sold despite failing data removal procedures.
At NASA. Come on.
At NASA. And 4 more for sale that data on the hard drive was actually restricted under ARM's control rules.
Hate it when that happens.
Leaks.
Yikes.
Come on, NASA.
WikiLeaks.
Insert WikiLeaks joke here.
The European Commission has given a beatdown to 5 Asian companies for fixing the prices of liquid crystal display panels in popular devices like flat-screen TVs, computers, and notebook devices. The EU levied fines totaling 649 million euros, that's $859.6 million, related to the violations dating back to 2001 when the companies started meeting to fix prices of LCD screens. What price do we charge this? Yes. Let's make it high. While the EU says most of these violations took place outside of Europe, the effect on raising prices was felt across the globe. Companies fined were Shimei Innolux, AU Optronics, Chunghwa Picture Tubes, and Hanstar Display. South Korea's LG Display was fined, but Samsung got out of it because they turned them in.
Ooh.
They were the whistleblower.
They narked.
Yeah.
Wow, Samsung.
I'm just
narked.
glad I didn't have to say all those.
It was their plan all along.
Tom, you passed on your pronunciation
Yes,
of
you did.
Taiwanese and Korean company names, although LG was not hard.
Thank you.
Oh, LG's the hardest.
Oh, yeah. Come on, Leger. Yahoo's bid as a content company is expanding today. Company I work for, full disclosure. They launched Yahoo Local Beta.
don't you work for?
I know. I can't even do this show. Come on. This is ridiculous. They launched Yahoo Local Beta in 30 neighborhoods across the country. The geographic focus is right now on California, Michigan, and New York. Towns like San Francisco, a bunch of Silicon Valley towns, Brooklyn, and 3 Michigan towns, Birmingham, Ferndale, and Royal Oak. Hyperlocal news, deals, and a lot of social elements just kind of built in. You guys buy into this hyperlocal trend?
Yes and no. I think it's bandied around in a lot of improper ways, but I do think that hyperlocal is a big need that people want.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
On to breathalyzing wine vending machines. This is what happens when I'm doing This Week in Google and Becky does the lineup. What the hell is this?
It's a story about booze and Walmart. How much better does it get?
Oh, this is gonna be prime for that Walmart People of Walmart site. That's gonna make
Walmart
such good
what
content.
A great site that is. So here's the deal. Apparently, there's in a couple of locations in Pennsylvania, there are some very arcane laws about selling booze, specifically wine. So it's illegal to sell alcohol in grocery stores, but it's not illegal to install a vending machine that dispenses wine so long as the user takes a breathalyzer test, swipes their state-issued state ID or their driver's license, and then shows their face to an official sitting somewhere in like the capital city via CCTV. So basically, you have like this funky. I'm just dying.
You're making this up.
No. According to Engadget, and I am going off of their story, I have not called the liquor board of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but basically, you should see the picture of this thing. There's a big glass-encased wine thing, like four vending machines side to side to side, and then you've got this ATM-looking jobber with a camera, a swiper, and I'm terrified to think how you breathalyze into this thing. Please tell me you don't have to put your lips on anything, because that just kills the whole deal for me.
Actually, Licky Weeky in the chat room just asked who's cleaning these things in between.
I know.
I think I have bent my brain enough to understand what could possibly give rise to the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board requiring this. Here's what I got for you.
Okay, let's hear your theory.
Maybe, and I don't know if this is true, but maybe the law is that only an authorized state agency can sell you the liquor, because that's true in many states. And the supermarkets are not given that authorization. But if you have a device that keeps the liquor away from the supermarket employees so they can't sell it or take it.
Right. And you have remote access.
And you have remote access to an official. And then one of the stipulations is the official's not allowed to sell it to anyone who is already drunk.
Right.
Hence the breathalyzer.
Right.
That could explain all the facts here.
Okay.
Right. But is there any live action so that you know that you're actually the one breathing into it?
Right. That would be. Well, I guess the camera's watching you. So you have to.
True.
Listen,
but
I just
is that
think
going straight to the official watching?
Yeah,
Man,
it looks like
what a
it's
job.
built right in here.
Yeah, right? They're paying somebody to do that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
All I can say is if you've ever been someplace where the only store open at like midnight is the grocery store and you're out of booze and somebody goes on the run and I mean, I'm not saying this happens to me every weekend, but I'm just saying.
I'm just saying it's happened once.
I could see this being a benefit. And God forbid you're like coming from a dry county and you got to get over there. And I mean, that's never happened to me, maybe 12 or 14 times. But I see this as a major innovation, people. Major. And I think we're going to see a lot of prototypes at CES around this.
Yeah.
This is the trend of 2011.
This is it.
2010 was all about 3D TV. 2011 is vending machine technology.
Oh, yeah.
Wine vending, people.
Border of
You heard it.
Connecticut and New Hampshire.
You heard it right
Vending
here.
machines. All right. Don't forget, folks, to be a part of Tech News Today this holiday season. You can sign up at bit.ly/TNT Holiday 2010 to be on our open mic show where we actually talk to folks in the audience. We have them on as guests of the show. And we're also still looking for best moments, right?
Yeah, I haven't received many in the last couple of days, but I've received a lot overall. But I still need more, please, so that the episode isn't like 10 minutes long.
We
I'm
need
sure
to
you want a little
create
bit
more
than
best
that.
moments. That's
Yeah.
what it comes
Well, you know
down
what?
to. It's our fault, Tom. It's on you, buddy.
We've done a few this episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Second.
We'll keep at it though.
What's
Callie,
funny
get
is
naked and run through here right now.
Can we choose something else a little bit more tame?
Oh, sure. Go for the easy win.
Let's go the drunk route instead.
Notice that she didn't volunteer for that job herself.
Got it. Got it.
All right. On to the voicemails. 260-TNT show is where you can call and leave a voicemail, or you can email an attachment, either an MP3 or a link to a video. Please don't attach the videos. They're too big, but we do like to get the video links like we got from Zap. He uploaded his to YouTube and has a few comments to share with us. What do you got, Zap? Hi, Zap.
Hi, Tom, Becky, and everybody. I think you guys totally underplayed the importance of the Chrome web app store. Because what you seem to be forgetting is two of the really important things that Google is trying to do here. First, of course, is discoverability. You get this straight in your face when you're using Chrome. But more importantly, it's monetization. You can get paid for making web apps. This is something that has been exclusively in the domain of people doing native apps for various mobile operating systems to be able to actually get paid for the work, because you do think people should get paid for the work, right? It's been nigh impossible to be paid for making a web application. Even if you have some product that might entice your buyer to pay, you have to set up a system that is complicated with going to PayPal or something like this. Now this is all built in, is just the same simple, easy to do on an impulse buy, one-click thing that you do in, say, the Apple Store or the Android web store.
Yes. Well, okay, Zap, I will give you all of that is great for a developer who wants to sell his app. I'm still not convinced that I need to buy something that I could get by clicking a link.
True, but I actually like the curated concept. I like the idea. You know, it depends on how Google takes the task. I mean, given their open style with the Android marketplace, it may not be as curated as some would like. In terms of feeling like it's a walled garden, if you will, to use that analogy, and all safe from virus, et cetera, et cetera. But I think that there's a benefit to it, and I think that we've seen the model work, and it may move forward, and we'll see the quality of the applications going off the web.
Curated like a portal, but then to actually like make that something you have to install. It works perfectly in Chrome OS. I understand it, and in fact, that's the only way it makes sense to me is if you're using a Chrome OS device. But just using it in Chrome on my regular laptop. For curated content, I'm going to go to opensourcewindows.org or opensourcemac.org. I mean, that's curated, free, and open source stuff. And I download it and install it and control it myself.
Yeah, I think you're more hands-on than most people. They want a little bit more oversight.
Okay, well then go to download.com.
Yeah, fair enough. A lot of people do.
And you don't necessarily have to pay for that stuff.
But you would be amazed. A lot of consumers are afraid of everything they download. My cousin said to me the other day, yeah, we downloaded Skype and then we got a lot of viruses. I was like, are you kidding me? Skype? And people just, we've over-imbued the fear of God of
the
downloads.
idea of we got viruses also is like consumption was in Victorian times. We use it. People use it to mean all kinds of things. They probably have a bad sector on their hard drive.
Right. I haven't defragged in 5,000 years.
All right. We got another, this one actually a voicemail. Somebody who called the line. Eric, the dangers of sending food-like data.
I wasn't here for this story, so set it up. The idea of the pneumatic tubes.
Yeah. This is the food tube internet. I talked about it on TWiT. We had an email about it on Monday. But the idea is that they create an underground tube that connects supermarkets, government buildings, schools, and other places, and then you put the food in capsules and deliver it instead of putting it on trucks.
I'm just going to raid the underground.
Dive into the tube.
Well, listen to this comment, and you may change your tune.
Okay.
Hey, guys, this is Eric the musician. First time calling in. Love the show, but I have to say I can't believe y'all missed a really big thing talking about sending food like data packets. It's legal, and therefore I don't know that there's a whole lot you can do about it, but I can sum it up in one word. Spam.
Spam.
Order spam.
It's already perfectly shaped.
Maybe they bolster their market, their marketability by sending out samples to people through the food pneumatic tubes.
That's that's the definition of spam, right?
Yeah.
Unsolicited spam.
Unsolicited packaged meat product.
Unsolicited.
Here, we think you'll enjoy this food.
This is unsolicited pork shoulder and ham. And it's not even musubi.
No, that would be okay. If it was rice and, the spam on the outside with a little seaweed wrapping it up, delicacy, yes, that I could go with. But
all right, one email to wrap us up. Bob from Philadelphia wrote to TNT@twit.tv, said Tom's mention of wanting the batteries on the Galaxy 15 Zombie satellite, this was the rogue satellite that's out of control, says Tom's mention of wanting the batteries, allow me to share with you some random knowledge I learned thanks to knowing folks in the satellite industry. Satellite batteries for geosynchronous satellites are not that great. They only need to last at most 72 minutes. The maximum time of an eclipse of the sun by the Earth during an orbit. The rest of the time, the satellite works off the power from the solar arrays. Galaxy 15, the zombie satellite, is still pretty much in geosynchronous orbit, so it will survive until it gets low enough that an eclipse lasts longer than the batteries, and then the transmitter will shut down.
So, sadly, your dream of the eternal battery in the...
No, it just needs my devices need to be in geosynchronous orbit.
Oh, yeah, you can do that. That's no problem.
And then I
No problem
can
at all.
just, telnet into them.
No, of course. Telnet.
VPN.
Yeah, Telnet.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing that these days.
Right. All right.
Super
Thank you,
easy.
Callie Lewis, so much. I'm sorry it went really fast. I'm sorry we're done.
No, that's fine. Are you actually on time for the next show?
Yeah.
Wow, impressive.
Strange. This never
Weird.
happens.
This is so bizarre.
Let
Leo
people know
must
where
be
they
on
can
another continent.
catch Geek Beat.
Absolutely. So Geek Beat, 3 days a week is at geekbeat.tv and twitter.com/Callie Lewis.
All right. And you can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. You can email us, TNT@twit.tv, or give us a call, 260-TNT-SHOW. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye. Oh, space. Yeah. Oh, you shoving